Yichen walked to the center of the martial arts arena, stood with his hands behind his hands, and looked directly at Xianming. "BR in that case, let's have a fight. If you lose, give up the chance of this competition." "BR ha, BR Xianming sneered and asked. "BR what if you lose?" "BR Yichen pointed at himself, and then left no room for error. "BR if I lose, crawl out of here." "BR Xianming clenched his fists tightly. He was challenged by an outsider in front of so many people. If he didn't agree, how would he be able to gain a foothold in the imperial clan in the future? "BR today I will show you the power of the Xuanhao Emperor's bloodline." "BR after saying this, Xianming jumped onto the high platform, spiritual energy surging around his body. "BR he formed a seal with his hands, condensing a huge spiritual sword. The blade was as black as ink, exuding a fierce killing aura, and slashed towards Yichen's head. "BR wherever the sword passed by, the void tore apart and the air exploded. This sword was enough to kill a monk of the same level with one strike. "BR Yichen didn't even raise his eyelids. He didn't even use any skills. He just raised his hand and held it with 5 fingers, and gently grabbed the sword light. "BR his palms were like iron pliers, crushing the sword light that could split mountains apart, turning it into points of light and dissipating in the sky. "BR seeing this, everyone couldn't help but take a breath. "BR he actually crushed Xianming's Dao Gang with his bare hands. "BR how is this possible? "BR his cultivation seems to be above Xianming's. Could it be that he had an adventure during this period? "BR Xianming's pupil suddenly shrank, and before he had time to react, Yichen's figure had disappeared. "BR the next moment, a big hand strangled his neck and lifted him up from the ground. "BR that's it?" Yichen's palms were like iron pliers, and his fingers tightened. "Do you deserve to say that I am not qualified?" "BR Xianming's throat was stuck, it was difficult to breathe, and his face turned from red to purple. "BR let go, let go." "BR Yichen threw Xianming to the ground hard, making a deep pit in the ground, and the cracks spread like spider webs. "BR a mouthful of blood spurted out from Xianming's mouth, several bones in his body were broken, and he lay paralyzed in the pit unable to move. BR as soon as he finished speaking, Yichen stepped on Xianming's chest and looked at him condescendingly. "BR if I am not qualified, do you have the qualifications?" BR seeing this, the martial arts arena was completely silent. BR everyone's eyes fell on Yichen, and their hearts were filled with turmoil. BR one move. BR with just one move, Xianming was defeated. Few of them could do it. BR Yichen's eyes swept across the audience. "Who else thinks I'm not qualified?" BR in the audience, hundreds of young disciples of the Xuanhao imperial clan looked at each other, all filled with indignation, but no one dared to come forward. BR senior brother Xianming was killed by him? BR what he just used was not spiritual power, but pure physical power. How strong is your physical body? BR senior brother Xianming is no match for him. We will die if we go up to him. BR there were a lot of discussions, but no one dared to take a step. BR at this moment, a figure walked out of the crowd and climbed onto the high platform. BR it was a young man, with an innate arrogance between his eyebrows. This man was Xuanji, the emperor of the Xuanhao imperial clan. BR seeing this, everyone shouted in unison. BR Emperor, the emperor is on stage. BR if senior brother Xuanji takes action, Yichen will definitely be defeated. BR tread on Yichen to the ground and let him know what it means to have a better world. BR Xuanji stood with his hands behind his back, his eyes falling on Yichen. BR you are very strong, but the glory of the Xuanhao imperial clan cannot be trampled by outsiders. BR take action and let me see what you are capable of. BR the corners of Yichen's mouth were slightly raised, and fighting spirit was burning in his eyes. BR since he had the adventure, he has not encountered an opponent yet. BR as long as he can bring down the emperor in front of him, he will be worthy of it. The shameful emperor of the Xuanhao emperor clan. BR how could one of his subordinates have the nerve to continue to be the emperor? BR Xuanji didn't know what he was thinking, but took the lead. BR Shantian Baju. BR behind him, a huge golden shadow slowly condensed. The shadow was several feet tall. It was wearing golden armor and holding a spear. It exuded a terrifying aura that suppressed all things. BR the shadow looked up to the sky and roared, the sound shook the fields, and the entire martial arts arena was trembling slightly. BR Xianji raised his hand, and the shadow moved. The golden spear pierced the void and stabbed hard at Yichen's chest. BR wherever the tip of the spear passed, the void cracked, and a deep ravine was plowed out on the ground. The gravel was swept into the wind of the gun, and was instantly crushed into powder. BR Yichen's expression remained unchanged. he didn't even take a step back. BRBR, the blood of the immortal fighting spirit boiled in his body, and the ancient overlord technique was operating at full strength. BRBR, the iron-blooded evil spirit surged into the sky and shot into the sky. BRBR, behind him, an even larger shadow slowly condensed. BRBR, it was the phantom of the ancient war emperor, standing 100 feet high, wearing blood-colored battle armor, holding a huge battle axe, his eyes red as blood, exuding a war spirit that would destroy the world. BRBR. The phantom looked up to the sky and roared, and the sound turned into reality, shaking Xuanji's golden shadow so violently that it almost collapsed. BRBR, Yichen raised his hand, holding it with 5 fingers, and slashed out with the huge battle axe. BRBR, wherever the axe blade passed, a huge crack was torn open in the void, and within the crack was endless nothingness. BRBR, Xuanji's pupils trembled, the power contained in that battle axe far exceeded his endurance limit. BRBR, he desperately urged Shantian Baju, and the golden shadow held the spear in front of him, trying to block the axe. BRBR, but the battle axe fell, and the golden spear was like rotten wood, shattering inch by inch. BRBR, the virtual shadow trembled violently under the impact of the golden light, with dense cracks and instantly shattered into spots of light all over the sky. BRBR, Xuanji's body was knocked backwards by the force of the countershock, blood spurted out from his mouth, a long line of blood was drawn in the air, and he fell heavily to the ground. BRBR, he was lying on the ground, his chest was sunken, several ribs were broken, and his breath was extremely weak. BRBR, I struggled to get up, but found that I didn't even have the strength to raise my hands. BRBR, impossible, how is this possible? BRBR, he lost to an outsider. BRBR, under the stage, there was deathly silence. BRBR, everyone opened their mouths, but no sound came out. BRBR, after a while, someone murmured. BRBR, the emperor has been defeated, how is this possible? BRBR, behind Yichen, that is the phantom of the war emperor. BRBR, Yichen's cultivation level is obviously only at the integration stage, but the power of his attack just now, his strength has definitely reached the Mahayana stage. BRBR, in the stands, Xian Tiangang, the patriarch of the Xian Hao Emperor clan, looked gloomy. His son, the strongest genius among the younger generation of the Shua Hao Emperor clan, was defeated by an outsider, and he was defeated so completely. BRBR, the great elder Xian Tianyuan sat beside the clan leader, his old face full of smiles. BRBR, he looked at Yichen with admiration in his eyes. BRBR, Yichen, are you willing to join my family? BRBR, as soon as these words came out, the whole place was in an uproar. BRBR, what an honor it is for the great elder to accept a direct disciple. BRBR, Yichen, an outsider, could actually become the direct descendant of the great elder. This was an opportunity that many people could only dream of. BRBR, however, Yichen shook his head. BRBR, seeing this, everyone was shocked. BRBR, he actually refused, is he crazy? BRBR, the great elder's personal disciple, that is an opportunity that many people dream of, but he actually refused. BRBR, I don't know how to praise, but the great elder can see it. It's his blessing to fall in love with him. BRBR, this guy is so arrogant that he doesn't even give the great elder the respect. BRBR, the great elder frowned slightly and was about to speak, but saw Yichen bending his knees and kneeling on the ground with a plop. BRBR, he clasped his hands into fists and his voice was sonorous and powerful. BRBR, Yichen has been wandering for half his life. If the father never abandons him, Chen is willing to be his adoptive father. BRBR, the whole place fell into deathly silence again, and everyone stared blankly at Yichen who was kneeling on the ground. BRBR, he wants to be the godson of the great elder? BRBR, the elder looked at Yichen blankly, his old face showed shock at first, and then turned into ecstasy. BRBR, he stepped forward quickly, bent down to help Yichen up, his hands were trembling slightly. BRBR, okay. Good. Good. From now on, you are my adopted son, and the Xuanhao Imperial clan is your home. BRBR, Yichen straightened up, clasped his fists and bowed. BRBR, my foster father is here. Please accept my child's obeisance. BRBR, the great elder laughed loudly, and the laughter echoed over the martial arts field. BRBR, from today on, Yichen is my adopted son. Anyone who refuses to accept it will be my enemy. BRBR, no one in the audience dared to speak. BRBR, Xian Tiangong's face was gloomy. The elder had always wanted to compete for his position as the leader of the clan, and this Yichen was the elder's sword. BRBR, Yichen stood up, with a sharp light flashing in his eyes. BRBR, Chu Feng, you didn't expect that. Not only did I not die, but I also obtained the inheritance of the ancient war emperor. BRBR, ancestor, if you persist a little longer, I will definitely save you from the clutches of the devil. BRBR, Chu Feng, wait. Kanglin Imperial Clan, Meeting Hall. BRBR, the Imperial Clan Conference will be held in 10 days. BRBR Chu Xuan's eyes fell on Chu Feng, his eyes filled with relief. BRBR the younger generations of the 9 imperial clans gathered together to compete for the top spot. BRBR with Chu Feng's current cultivation level, looking at the younger generation of the 9 imperial clans, absolutely no one can be his opponent. BRBR in this conference, the Kanglan imperial clan will surely win the first place and be proud and proud. BRBR when GC heard this, his eyes were full of complicated emotions. BRBR let alone peers, even if old guys like them come on stage, there is absolutely no one who can be Chu Feng's opponent. BRBR with his 7th level Mahayana cultivation, coupled with his terrifying array attainments, as well as the purifying Buddha lamp and the fragments of the heaven-splitting divine sword. Shan Lang might not be able to withstand even one move in front of him. BRBR after all, she had witnessed Chu Feng's strength in the fallen immortal Jedi land. BRBR in this imperial clan conference, we only need to send Chu Feng alone. No one can match him. BRBR before Chu Feng could speak, a sudden change occurred. BRBR boom, BRBR with a loud noise, the entire Kanglan imperial clan was shaking violently. BRBR a majestic and suffocating demonic energy suddenly surged out of Chu Feng. BRBR Chu Feng's pupils suddenly shrank, his fingers reached into the ring, and he took out the heavenly demon tower. BRBR the runes on the tower body are flashing crazily, flickering on and off. BRBR the dark demonic energy was like a volcano erupting, soaring into the sky from the shattered tower, straight into the sky, and dyeing the entire sky black. BRBR in the demonic aura, an enchanting and cold figure rose up, suspended in midair. BRBR Xian Chaji wore a black gauze skirt, revealing her fair and slender legs. BRBR Our skin is as smooth as snow, and it looks particularly dazzling against the black gauze skirt. BRBR now he has already escaped from the seal of the demon tower and has completely restored his full strength. BRBR everyone in the Kanglan imperial clan looked up at the black figure suspended in midair, and their expressions suddenly changed. BRBR what a terrifying demonic energy. That woman's cultivation is at least the peak of Mahayana. BRBR that's the demon clan. How could a strong man from the demon world appear in our Kanglan imperial clan? BRBR hurry up and open the clan protection formation. We cannot compete with these monsters. BRBR at the same time, Chu Xuan stood up suddenly, his voice trembling. BRBR Chu Feng, what is going on? BRBR GC also looked solemn. Although she knew that Chu Feng owned the heavenly demon tower, she did not expect that the monster suppressed by the heavenly demon tower could break the seal. BRBR her fingers clenched slightly, her spiritual power quietly running through her body, ready to take action at any time. BRBR, can she be suppressed again? BRBR Chu Feng looked up at the figure suspended in midair, a hint of surprise clearly flashed across his face, and then he understood. BRBR no matter how slow his reaction was, he should have figured it out. BRBR the woo-woo that was originally refined for Xianxia the wandering tribulation pill must be a pill that can help the opponent break the seal. BRBR I have to say that Xianxia did trick him, but luckily he was suspicious by nature. BRBR you broke the seal a little slower than I expected. BRBR Xianxia lowered her head, staring at Chu Feng with her scarlet vertical pupils, her eyes filled with overwhelming hatred. BRBR Chu Feng, you have played tricks on me again and again, do you think I will let you go? BRBR she raised her hand and gently held it in the void, and a spear as black as ink condensed into shape. In her hand, BRBR today is the day you die. BRBR Xianxia threw the spear, and the spear turned into a black lightning, tearing through the void, and stabbing Chu Feng's chest fiercely. BRBR everyone in the Kanglan imperial clan looked at the black lightning across the sky, and their faces turned pale. BRBR it's over. Even the peak of Mahayana can't catch the spear. BRBR can Chu Feng block it? BRBR if he can block it, I will stand on my head and eat shit. BRBR Chu Xuan's face was as pale as paper. He wanted to rush forward and block Chu Feng, but his legs were like lead and he couldn't take a step forward. BRBR that was a full blow from the immortal realm. With his cultivation level, it would only lead to death. BRBR although he was not afraid of death, his body still hesitated for a moment. BRBR however, Chu Feng continued. He didn't even raise his eyelids. BRBR he just stood with his hands behind his hands, looking calmly at the pitch-black spear that was stabbing him. BRBR the spear was only 1 foot, 3 feet, 1 foot, 1 inch away from Chu Feng's chest. BRBR the tip of the pitch-black spear hung an inch from Chu Feng's chest, trembling violently and making a harsh buzz, but he could no longer move forward. BRBR Xianxia's pupils shrank suddenly, her face was full of shock. BRBR her body was shaking slightly, not because of fear, but because the power in her body was rushing wildly, making it impossible for her to gather all her strength. BRBR in the depths of the sea of consciousness, a dark purple mist was surging. It was an inner demon, and it was not an ordinary inner demon. Or what's going on? How could my power? BRBR Xianchaji tried her best to suppress the power of the inner demon. BRBR but the inner demon became more and more violent as he suppressed it. BRBR Chu Feng's smile deepened when he looked at her appearance. BRBR his voice was very soft, but it had a chilling fee. Ling. BRBR, do you think that the woo-woo devouring tribulation pill I gave you was really just the woo-woo devouring tribulation pill? BRBR hearing this, Xianchaji couldn't help but change her expression. After all, this was not the first time she had suffered a loss at the hands of Chu Feng. BRBR what did you do? BRBR Chu Feng raised his eyebrows and said slowly. BRBR I added a medicine to it, the heart-corroding nightmare grass. BRBR the heart-eroding nightmare grass will not affect the original efficacy of the elixir, but it can make the person who takes it breed inner demons. BRBR the more you activate the demonic element, the inner demon becomes stronger. BRBR at this moment, your inner demon has taken root and merged with your soul. BRBR the ferocity and anger on Xianchaji's face shattered at this moment, replaced by fear. BRBR she was teased by Chu Feng again and again, but every time she thought it was true this time. BRBR every time I put down my dignity, I get deceived deeper every time. BRBR Chu Feng, how dare you lie to me again, I will kill you. BRBR before she finished speaking, the power of the inner demon in the sea of consciousness erupted again, and a sharp pain surged from the depths of her soul, making her unable to help but let out a painful groan. BRBR the body was shaking violently in midair, the demonic energy was disordered, and black demonic blood oozed from the 7 orifices. BRBR she knew that she could not stay any longer. BRBR the inner demon can no longer be suppressed. If she delays it any longer, not only will she not be able to kill Chu Feng, but she will be completely devoured by the inner demon and become an unconscious puppet. BRBR she gritted her teeth and used her last bit of strength to perform the Rakshasa tribe's secret forbidden escape technique, blood shadow escape. BRBR her body turned into a bloody stream of light, rushing towards the crack in the void. BRBR Chu Feng, just wait, I will definitely come back, and then it will be your death. BRBR the cracks in the void closed, the demonic energy gradually dissipated, and the figure of Xianchaji had long since disappeared. BRBR Chu Feng looked at the closing crack and had no intention of pursuing it. BRBR the inner demon has been planted. Xianchaji can escape for a while, but cannot escape for the rest of her life. BRBR the inner demon will become stronger and stronger as time goes by, eventually swallowing up her sanity completely. BRBR when the time comes, she will either become a puppet or come back and beg him obediently. BRBR if you eat my elixir, you are destined to be mine. Yuqing Imperial Clan. BRBR in the deepest part of the ancestral land, the 4 stone walls are made of thousands of years of cold iron and are engraved with dense sealing patterns to prevent spiritual energy from leaking out. BRBR in the center of the secret room, a palm-sized white jade is suspended in the air, exuding a warm spiritual light. This is the Yuqing Imperial Clan's most precious treasure, the Wanling Jade. BRBR this jade contains the spiritual source of heaven and earth, which can help monks break through the shackles of practice and even have the opportunity to awaken the innate Taoist body. BRBR Yunqing Yuan sat cross-legged under the jade, with spiritual power surging around her body. BRBR her senior sister Yunqing Yue died, and now the position of Emperor's daughter falls on her. BRBR speaking of which, she thanked Chu Feng. If Chu Feng had not killed Yunqing Yue, she would not be where she is today. BRBR Chu Feng, although you helped me, you must die. BRBR her brows frowned slightly, fine beads of sweat oozed from her forehead, and her breathing was somewhat rapid. BRBR forcibly activating the spiritual source of heaven and earth in the Wanling Baoyu to imbue the body is an extremely dangerous process. If you are not careful, your meridians will be severed. BRBR buzz, BRBR the Wanling Baoyu trembled suddenly, and a bright spiritual light poured out from the jade, like a flood that broke a bank, pouring down on Yunqing Yuan's head. BRBR that spiritual light contains the most original spiritual power between heaven and earth, a treasure that countless monks cannot touch in their entire lives. BRBR the moment the spiritual light entered his body, Yunqing Yuan's body shook suddenly. BRBR the majestic spiritual power was rushing through her body, like a wild horse running wild. Wherever it passed, the meridians were almost torn apart. BRBR her face turned pale instantly, and a trace of blood spilled from the corner of her mouth. BRBR break it for me. BRBR as soon as he finished speaking, the first shackles were broken in his chest. BRBR immediately afterwards, the second shackles belonging to Dan Tian were also broken. BRBR the third path, the fourth path, the fifth path, BRBR the bottlenecks accumulated on the path of practice are shattered inch by inch under the impact of the spiritual source of heaven and earth. BRBR the aura around her became more and more powerful. BRBR cyan aura surged out of her body and enveloped her whole body. It was a sign of the awakening of the innate spiritual body. BRBR at the same time, her skin became as white as jade, glowing with a faint luster. BRBR a huge shadow condensed behind her. It was the shadow of a fairy, with a graceful figure and a sacred aura. BRBR I'm done. BRBR Yunqing Yuan exclaimed excitedly, she finally awakened the innate spiritual body. BRBR at the same time, strange phenomena suddenly appeared in the world. BRBR over the entire Yuqing imperial clan, dark clouds gathered from all directions. BRBR in the clouds, golden thunder flashed and made a low roar. BRBR a golden beam of light soared into the sky from the secret room, straight into the sky, illuminating the entire sky. BRBR everyone in the Yuqing imperial clan looked at the golden beam of light rising into the sky, with shock on their faces. BRBR, who was making a breakthrough in seclusion? BRBR, it seems to be in the direction of the forbidden area, could it be Yunqing Yuan? BRBR, look at this vision, could it be that she has actually awakened the innate spiritual body? BRBR, that is the legend. The physique in question has never been awakened by anyone in our Yuqing imperial clan for thousands of years. BRBR, with this physique, her future achievements will probably far exceed that of Yunqing Yuan. BRBR Yunqing Yuan opened her eyes, and golden light flashed in her cold eyes. BRBR she looked down at her hands, feeling the majestic power in her body, with a satisfied smile on her lips. BRBR fifth level of integration. BRBR the condensation of the innate spiritual Taoist body allowed her cultivation to directly break through to the fifth level of integration. BRBR, with my current cultivation level, who else can be my opponent in the Imperial Clan Conference? BRBR Yunqing Yuan stood up, straightened her clothes, and turned to look at the corner of the secret room. BRBR there are several thick iron pillars there, with several young male and female disciples tied to them. BRBR the soul-binding rope is specially designed to restrain the spiritual power of monks. The bound person cannot use the spiritual power, just like a mortal. BRBR these disciples were all captured by Yunqing Yuan personally before retreating. BRBR they privately discussed that she was not as good as Yunqing Yuan, saying that she would never be as good as Yunqing Yuan. BRBR ever since becoming the emperor's daughter, he has been compared with Yunqing Yuan. BRBR smile, why aren't you laughing? BRBR don't you like talking about me behind my back? BRBR today, I will let you see with your own eyes my methods. BRBR the disciples all looked pale and their whole bodies were shaking uncontrollably. BRBR they looked at Yunqing Yuan's cold eyes, their hearts filled with fear. BRBR Emperor, spare your life, we dare not, never again. BRBR Yunqing Yuan's eyes fell on the female disciple on the far left. The woman's name was Yunwan, and she was her fellow senior sister. She usually liked to gossip behind her back. BRBR her face was full of tears and her whole body was shaking uncontrollably. BRBR Qing Yuan, what on earth do you want to do? BRBR the imperial clan has rules, members of the same clan are not allowed to kill each other, aren't you afraid that the clan leader will know? BRBR Yunqing Yuan walked up to her and raised her han. D to lift Yunwan's chin. BRBR you said that no matter how talented Yunqing Yuan is, she will never be as good as Yunqing Yuan. BRBR you also said that Yunqing Yuan is a phoenix in the sky, and Yunqing Yuan is just a pheasant on the ground. BRBR hearing this, Yunwan's pupils suddenly shrank, and tears burst out of her eyes like a spring. BRBR Qing Yuan, I was wrong. BRBR I shouldn't talk about you behind your back, let me go, I will never dare to do it again. BRBR Yunqing Yuan's finger lightly drew in the void, and a faint green light condensed on the fingertips. BRBR 10,000 poisons devouring heart technique. BRBR this technique uses 10,000 poisons as a guide, and can turn all poisons in the world to one's own use, killing people invisible. BRBR she gently touched the wisp of green light on Yunwan's eyebrows and said coldly. BRBR I will forgive you if you can still survive after being hit by my 10,000 poison heart devouring art. BRBR the moment the spiritual light entered her body, Yunwan's body stiffened suddenly. BRBR the blood on her face faded instantly, her pupils were dilated, and her whole body seemed to have been drained of its soul. BRBR a cold poisonous gas was spreading inside her body, from the center of her eyebrows to her dantian, and from her dantian to her limbs. BRBR BRBR Yunwan let out a shrill scream, her body trembling violently. BRBR her flesh and blood quickly rotted under the erosion of the poisonous gas, turning into pus, making a hissing sound. BRBR the air was filled with a pungent rancid smell that made people sick. BRBR help, help, BRBR Yunwan's voice became weaker and weaker, and her body struggled wildly under the restraints of the soul-binding rope. The rope cut into her flesh and blood flowed, but to no avail. BRBR after a while, Yunwan's body stopped moving completely. BRBR her flesh and blood turned into pus, leaving only a skin and bones, which were tied to the pillar with a soul-binding rope. BRBR. The skeleton still maintained a struggling posture, its mouth opened, but it could no longer make any sound. BRBR. Yuan retracted his hand, looked at his fingers, and frowned slightly. BRBR. Take out a silk handkerchief from your sleeve, wipe your fingers gently, and then throw the silk handkerchief on Yunwan's frame. BRBR. Her eyes swept over the other disciples, and the smile on her lips deepened. BRBR. Whose turn is it next? BRBR. The remaining disciples were so frightened that they wanted to break free from the shackles of the soul-binding rope. BRBR. Qingyuan, we are of the same race, you can't kill us. BRBR. Yun Qingyuan, you will be punished. BRBR. Please, let me go, I am willing to do anything. BRBR. However, their begging for mercy at this time seemed so ridiculous to Yun Qingyuan. BRBR. Her fingertips once again condensed with green light, and she walked towards the second disciple. BRBR. At this moment, a dark crack suddenly opened in the void above the secret room. BRBR. A bloody stream of light rushed out of the crack and fell heavily to the ground. BRBR. Her skin was as good as snow, but it was covered with fine scars at the moment, and demon blood seeped out from the wounds, dyeing her dress red. BRBR. A long hair was draped loosely on his shoulders, and the demonic energy around him was surging chaotically, making the whole person look miserable. BRBR. Xian Chaji fell from blood shadow escape, her inner demons were raging, and her consciousness was somewhat confused. BRBR. She didn't know where she was escaping to, she just knew she was going to stay away from that man and the devil who had deceived her over and over again. BRBR. She struggled to get up from the ground, panting heavily, her scarlet eyes full of exhaustion. BRBR. Chu Feng. BRBR. Seeing this scene, everyone in the secret room was stunned. BRBR. The discus. Please who were tied to the pillars looked at Xian Chaji in a daze, their eyes full of surprise. BRBR. The aura on Xian Chaji's body is 1,000 times more terrifying than Yun Qingyuan's, and it is the aura of the demon clan. BRBR. Yun Qingyuan also looked at Xian Chaji blankly, the green aura condensed on her fingers paused slightly, her eyes full of surprise. BRBR. She originally thought that after breaking through the seclusion today and killing these gossiping trash, she could go to the Imperial Clan Conference to seek revenge from Chu Feng. BRBR. But she didn't expect that a powerful demon would fall from the sky and break into her retreat. BRBR. Yun Qingyuan's hands clenched slightly, and her spiritual power quietly circulated in her body. BRBR. Who are you? The Xuanhao Imperial Clan has also sent many geniuses this time. I heard that their great elder has adopted an adopted son and is also a ruthless person. BRBR. The Kanglan Imperial Clan's high platform is the most eye-catching. It is located in the center of the 9 high platforms. It has the highest position and the widest view. BRBR. After all, among the 9 Imperial clans, the Kanglan Imperial Clan is now in the limelight, and no one can compete with it. BRBR. Even the Lingxian Imperial Clan, which they once competed with, has become a puppet of the Kanglan Imperial Clan. Who can compare with the Kanglan Imperial Clan? BRBR. On the high platform, GC sat at the top, his temperament ethereal. BRBR. Chu Feng annexed Shumi Temple at the 10,000 Buddhas Conference and became the leader of the Buddhist sect in Zhongzhou. BRBR. Repelled the demon lord in the Jedi land of fallen immortal and repaired the ancient seal. BRBR. Just one of these things would be enough to show off to GC and other Imperial clansmen. BRBR. In her opinion, this Imperial Clan Conference is just a formality, and the final leader must be Chu Feng. BRBR. Chu Feng sat beside GC, dressed in white with fluttering sleeves. BRBR. His eyes swept across the entire venue, taking in the abilities of the geniuses of all races. BRBR. Yi Qingmei was dressed in a light blue dress, with high blue silk hair, a delicate face, and a hint of gentleness between her eyebrows. BRBR. Her eyes swept through the crowd, and suddenly she saw a familiar figure, and her body froze slightly. BRBR. Chu Feng, look over there. BRBR. Following the direction of her finger, Chu Feng's eyes fell on the high platform of the Xuanhao Imperial Clan. BRBR. There, a black figure stood prominently. BRBR. He himself is very familiar with this person. BRBR. Yi Chen. BRBR. Yi Chen's eyebrows were filled with anger, and his eyes were staring at Chu Feng, full of hatred without concealment. BRBR. Ancestor, I will definitely save you from the pit of fire. BRBR. However, he suddenly got stuck in the middle of his words, because next he saw a scene that made his eyes split open. BRBR. I saw Chu Feng raising his arms and hugging Yi Qingmei's waist, hugging her into his arms, and even kissed her cheek in public. BRBR. Even gave Yi Chen a provocative look. BRBR. Looking at each other, Yi Chen clenched his fists, his nails dug into his palms, and blood dripped down his fingers, but he was completely unaware of it. BRBR. There was only one thought in his mind, to kill Chu Feng on the stage of contention and take Yi Qingmei back to him. BRBR. Chu Feng, if I let you be arrogant for a while longer, this will be your last time. BRBR. The atmosphere in the high platform of the Yuqing Imperial Clan was slightly silent. BRBR Since Yun Rushwang left the Yuqing Imperial clan, the reputation of the Yuqing Imperial clan has plummeted. BRBR The genius of the clan has withered away, and only Yunqing Yuan can barely hold up the facade. BRBR On the high platform, Yun Ruoshui glanced in the direction of the Kanglan Imperial clan from time to time. BRBR The moment she saw Yun Rushwang, she immediately narrowed her eyes. BRBR Qing Yuan, I don't care what method you use, you must kill Chu Feng for me. BRBR Yunqing Yuan subconsciously looked at Xianchaji, and then nodded heavily. BRBR Don't worry, Patriarch, I will definitely make sure he never comes back. BRBR Beside Yunqing Yuan, a female disciple with a cold face stood silently. BRBR The woman with a feminine aura between her brows is none other than Xianchaji, who transformed into Yun Wan. BRBR At this moment, Xianchaji has restrained all her demonic energy. There is not a trace of spiritual power fluctuations in her body. She looks like just an ordinary monk. BRBR Her appearance, body shape, and aura are all the same as Yun Wan's. No matter how the elders and her clan members around her look at her, there is no flaw in her appearance. BRBR Her gaze seemed to be scanning the entire audience calmly, but in reality, she was secretly sizing up Chu Feng, her eyes filled with cold murderous intent. BRBR Chu Feng, you can't believe it, I'm back. BRBR Yun Xuanji stroked his beard, with a trace of helplessness hidden in his eyes. BRBR Now, there is absolutely no way to restore the relationship between the Yuqing Imperial clan and the Kanglan Imperial clan. BRBR He only hopes that the Yuqing Imperial clan will not go to the point of fighting to the death with the Kanglan Imperial clan, but now it seems that this matter is no longer under his control. BRBR Alas, BRBR On the high platform of the 10,000 Demons Palace, Su Qing's eyes swept across the crowd and finally landed on Chu Feng. BRBR In her sea of consciousness, Feng Lingxi's soul huddled in the corner. BRBR He is Chu Feng, you must kill him. BRBR Su Qinghe looked at his jade-white fingers and said calmly. BRBR I will let you kill him with your own hands. BRBR As if he noticed something, Chu Feng also looked over, and then frowned. BRBR Why do I feel a hint of danger from Feng Lingxi? BRBR Hearing this, GC also looked at Feng Lingxi, and then shook his head indifferently. BRBR Not to mention Feng Lingxi, even Feng Qianyu, the master of the 10,000 Demons Palace, is no match for Chu Feng. BRBR Impossible, there is absolutely no way anyone among your peers can threaten you. BRBR As soon as he finished speaking, the person presiding over the Imperial Clan Conference stepped onto the stage. BRBR According to the rules of the Imperial Clan Conference, the Imperial Clan of the winner of the previous Imperial Clan Conference is responsible for hosting this conference. BRBR The last winner was the Lingxian Imperial Clan, so the person in charge was Shen Yuanju, the leader of the Lingxian Imperial Clan. BRB However, standing on the stage of competition, he had a complicated look on his face. BRBR Things have changed and people have changed. Now standing on the stage of competition, he just felt his face getting hot. BRBR After all, the Lingxian Imperial Clan is now a vassal of the Kanglan Imperial Clan, and his daughter Xianyuan Menghua has also become Chu Feng's woman. BRBR As the leader of the clan, he has long existed in name only. Standing here to preside over the conference is just in name only. BRBR Xianyuanju took a deep breath, suppressed the distracting thoughts in his heart, and spoke loudly. BRBR The rules of this conference are as follows, the first round of draw and duel. BRBR After the words fell, the geniuses of all races stood up one after another and walked towards the draw box in the center of the competition stage. BRBR It was a jade box all made of pure white. There were jade lots engraved with the names of the geniuses in the box. Whoever was drawn would fight against him. BRBR Yichen jumped down from the high platform of the Xuanhou Imperial clan and landed in front of the fighting stage. BRBR His eyes swept across the lottery box, reached into the box, and took out a jade lottery. BRBR On the jade sign, there is a name engraved, Taimong Emperor Clan, Montian. BRBR At the same time, a tall figure stood up on the high platform of the Taimong Emperor Clan. BRBR It was a burly young man with violent eyes. BRBR Montian is famous among the younger generation of the Demon Clan. He is not completely transformed. A thick python tail is swinging behind him. BRBR Montian jumps onto the fighting stage, folds his arms and looks down at Yi Chen. BRBR Boy, are you the newly adopted son of the great elder of the Xuanhou Imperial clan? BRBR Those who know the truth should admit defeat. Be careful, I will kill you with one punch. BRBR Yi Chen raised his eyes, only looking at the dying person with indifference. BRBR So much nonsense. BRBR After the words fell, his figure suddenly disappeared from the spot. BRBR The next moment, Yi Chen appeared in front of Meng Tian and punched out. BRBR The fist was wrapped in iron-blooded evil energy, tearing the void, and smashed hard towards Montian's chest. BRBR wherever the fist wind passed, the air exploded, the void trembled, and the entire fighting platform trembled slightly. BRBR Montian's pupils suddenly shrank. He didn't expect Yi Chen to be so fast, and there was no time to dodge. BRBR he could only raise his hand instinctively, condensing a black spiritual barrier in front of him, trying to block the punch. BRBR crack, BRBR the barrier is like paper, crumbling inch by inch. BRBR Yi Chen's fist still had its remaining power and hit Meng Tian hard on the chest. BRBR Montian's body was like a kite with its string broken, flying upside down, blood spurted out from his mouth, drawing a long line of blood in the air, and fell heavily to the ground. BRBR his chest was sunken, several ribs were broken, and blood kept pouring from his mouth. BRBR Yi Chen didn't give him a chance to breathe, and the ancient overlord technique was running at full strength. BRBR the iron-blooded evil spirit surged and turned into a dark red light pillar rising into the sky. BRBR behind him, a huge shadow slowly condensed, which was the appearance of the ancient war emperor. BRBR the huge battle axe came out and struck hard at Montian's head. BRBR Montian wanted to admit defeat, but his throat seemed to be blocked and he couldn't squeeze out a word. He could only watch the huge battle axe coming towards him. BRBR the battle axe suddenly stopped an inch away from Montian's head, causing Montian's scalp to feel numb, his crotch to feel hot, and a stream of yellow liquid flowing down his trouser legs. BRBR Yi Chen looked down at Meng Tian who was paralyzed on the ground, with a trace of contempt flashing in his eyes. BRBR admit defeat, or die? BRBR Meng Tian quickly hissed, admit defeat. I admit defeat. BRBR Yi Chen withdrew his gaze and looked at the high platform of the Kanglan Imperial clan. BRBR Chu Feng, do you dare to fight me?